Hello learners, welcome to this video lesson. In this video, you will learn to illustrate permutation of objects. First, let us set our objectives. At the end of this video, you will be able to define permutations and understand the concept of arranging objects in a specific order. Then, illustrate permutations of objects using different methods. Lastly, understand the real-life applications of permutations and its relevance. Now that we know our objectives, let's proceed to the discussion. First, let's define permutation. Let's understand what is permutation. Permutation refers to the arrangement of objects in a definite order, meaning to say that permutations are all the possible arrangements or outcomes of objects where order matters, or that it is the mathematical concept of finding the possible arrangements or total number of outcomes of certain things, such as arrangement of books in a shelf, the possible PIN codes or passwords using digits or letters. It could also be possible pairings of objects and etc. Now, let's proceed to the discussion of the methods which we could use to illustrate permutations. Permutations can be illustrated using the following methods: systematic listing, tree diagram, table, and fundamental counting principle. In order to understand how these methods work, let's work on an example. At the convenience store, they have 3 different flavors of ice cream, which are buko, chocolate, ube. And you can choose one topping of 2 toppings, which are marshmallows and nuts. How many choices do you have? In this problem, we have to present all of the possible choices of ice cream when we have 3 flavors and 2 toppings. Now, let's try using the different methods to illustrate the permutations of this problem. First, using systematic listing method. This method refers to the counting technique that involves complete list of all possible outcomes. This is simply the act of listing all possible match-ups or pairings we could make out of the objects we have. So, using this method, first, we have to identify the variables or objects to make the listing possible. In the problem, the objects are the 3 flavors and 2 toppings. List down the objects based on the category it belongs. We have for the flavors, buko, chocolate, and ube. And for the toppings, we have marshmallows and nut. Now, list the possible pairings we could make out of these objects. For the buko flavor, we could pair it with marshmallow toppings. List it down, buko plus marshmallows. And that will be our first choice or possibility. Next, pair up buko with nuts. Buko plus nuts, that is the second one. Repeat this action for the remaining objects: chocolate plus marshmallows, chocolate plus nuts, then ube plus marshmallows, and ube plus nuts. Now, after you're done with listing, count the listed pairs or match-ups of ice cream. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Therefore, based on the systematic listing method, we have 6 choices of ice cream that we can choose from. The next method is the tree diagram. Tree diagram is a technique which uses line segments originating from an event to an outcome. This method shows the visual representation of the permutation or the arrangement or pairings of objects in an ordered manner. Using the same problem, again, identify the variables or objects, then map the pairings individually for each flavors. For the flavor buko, we could pair it with marshmallow toppings. So, make a line segment indicating a pairing connection. Buko to marshmallows. Another arrangement for the buko flavor, pair up buko with nuts. Create another branch of line segment, buko to nuts. Then, repeat the same action for the remaining objects. Once you're done, count the pairs or match up that we map. For the buko flavor, we have 2. For the chocolate flavor, we have 2. And for the ube flavor, we have 2. Add all of it, we will have a total of 6. Therefore, based on the tree diagram, we have 6 choices of ice cream we can choose from. Another method is the table. Using or making a table is a technique where values or different possibilities are tabulated. This technique is closely similar with listing method, but this one is arranged in a tabulated form. For this method, you need to create a table with each column represent a category of the objects. Using the same problem, let's use the table method. First, identify the objects in the problem. We have 2 categories or 2 groups, which are the flavors and the toppings of the ice cream. Under the flavors, we have buko, chocolate, and ube. Under the toppings, we have marshmallow and nuts. Now, once done with identifying the objects, let's create a table. Here, we have a 3-column table. The first column will represent the number of possibilities. The second and third will represent the categories or groups of the objects. To start, write the first match-up. Let's write first possibility. For the type of flavor, we have buko. And for the toppings, we will have marshmallows. Now, this will be our first choice or possibility. On the next row, write the second match-up or second possibility. For the type of flavor, we have buko. And for the toppings, we will have nuts. With this, we have our second possibility. Then, do the same action again for the rest of the objects. After completing the table, count the number of possibilities listed on the table that we can see from the first column. We have first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth possibility. Therefore, based on the table method, we have 6 possibilities or choices of ice cream we can choose from. Now we are down to the last method. The last method is called the fundamental counting principle. The fundamental counting principle, also known as the multiplication rule or the sequential counting principle, is a counting technique in which if two events are independent and one event occurs in A ways and the other event occurs in B ways, then this event occurs in AB ways. Using the same problem, let's try to calculate for the permutation. In the problem, we have 3 flavors and 2 toppings. Multiply 3 by 2, which represent the action of multiplying 3 flavors with 2 toppings. Since each flavor will be paired with a topping twice, hence 3 times 2 is equal to 6. Therefore, based on the fundamental counting principle method, we have 6 choices of ice cream we can choose from. Now, learners, since we are done with discussing how to illustrate permutations of objects using different methods, for your practice task, try to illustrate the permutation of this problem using the different methods that we have discussed.